What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 6 of Lyon Live here in Football Manager 2019. Today, massive matches. You might have seen Ronaldo in the thumbnail. Juventus to start our Champions League campaign. We've also got games against Cannes, and we've also got a game against Marseille, our bitter rivals. You can see here we have a competitive historical rivalry against them. I want to beat them. That's going to be the aim today across these 3 games. Of course, there has been an international break since the last episode. I just continued through it. In terms of what you missed in that time, not a great deal. No new injuries, which was nice. We did have to do our squad registration for the Champions League. You can see what we registered here. 2 players did miss out. It was a little bit tricky, but it kind of wasn't at the same time. The first player, Marin, he's out with a broken ankle for 2 to 3 months, so he was going to miss a large amount of the campaign anyway. Of course, under 21 players who have been at the club for 2 years don't have to be registered, but we have signed a few new youngsters. Of course, that does help us out with players like Awar, where we don't have to register him, but just due to the limitations, one other player did have to miss out, and I went with Scott McTominay in the end, who I did bring in on loan to be that backup defensive midfielder to Toussaint. And whilst I still feel like he is kind of the backup in the ball-winning midfielder role, I do feel like if Toussaint gets injured or misses out, we have got players like Ndombele who can come in. And also, obviously, our Papa Cech as well. This guy is very, very good. I really like the look of this guy. I'd like to give him some football. But obviously with these players, as much as I'd love to play McTominay occasionally, just with all the registration rules, someone had to miss out. And in the end, I'd rather it be a player that we have on the loan in. Anyway, that's kind of what you missed. One other little thing I actually did was St. Maxime for his training. I asked the staff to attempt to develop his weaker foot a little, just because we might play him on the right-hand side. It'd be nice if he wasn't just so one-footed. If he could use his left a little bit, it would be nice. Whether or not we can actually help that improve, I'm a little doubtful, to be honest. He did also pick up, you can see here, his first ever international goal for the French under-21, so that was good for him. So, we've got a little bit of stuff that I do want to do today, and one of the things I want to do is sort out our player squad statuses. One of the views that I don't think I've used yet during this live commentary kind of series has been my team profile squad view. I like to use this when I first come to clubs sometimes just to evaluate players, work out who the prospects are, what personalities are dominating the obviously the back room and in the changing room, and also the hierarchy. So obviously you can see our players here, but actually the thing I want to do is sort out squad statuses, because there's a few players who might have slightly higher statuses than they should have. For example, Fekir, I feel pretty confident saying this. His squad status should be key player, whereas for Dembele and Joseph Martinez, whilst they are on the contracts of key players, only one of them is ever going to play a game for us. I do think Dembele will probably play more than Martinez, although I feel like they're very, very interchangeable. With that in mind, at least for now, I'm going to move both their squad statuses down to first team player. We might change that as things go on during the time here. Of course, your squad statuses you set when a player comes into the club and you want to offer them a contract, but you can change them immediately and from this screen here if you so wish. So right, the sorting doesn't work, I don't think, until I leave and rejoin the page. So we've got Lopez Depay, who I think will be a key player for us when he's fit, and hopefully he's not going to be out for too much longer. And obviously Fekir, he's just been the best player by far in the team, so I consider those all key players. Bertrand Traore, Marçal, St. Maxime, I think they're all kind of rotation options. There's certainly even an argument to suggest that in the case of Marçal, we should have him set to be a backup player. He's 29 years old. He's a good left back. I do wonder with this guy if he might be worth moving on at the end of the year, just because we've got the 4 non-EU player rule in this division where we can only have 4 players in our registered league squad from outside of EU nations. And while Marçal is very good, it feels almost like a bit of a waste of one of those spots to have a player here who is only really going to be a backup left back to... Who is our starting left back? I'm trying to remember the name. Oh, of course, it's Ferland Mendy. So, for example, Ferland Mendy here, his squad status should probably be first team. Squad statuses, by the way, are what determine a lot of when a player complains about lack of first team football. If a player has a lower status, they're a lot less likely to complain. So actually, the kind of lineup you see here is what I consider our best 11 right now. So, for example, Kenny Tete here, he's a very much first-team player. In some ways, there isn't actually necessarily a downside to a player like Tete, just keeping him as a rotation player. In fact, increasing a player's squad status, I believe, it certainly feels like this when I've done it, can sometimes make a player want a bigger contract because they feel like they're a bigger part of the team. But I definitely think this is worth looking into to avoid players getting unhappy. So, for example, Morel here, Marçal, Mbia is already set to not needed. But sometimes you'll just have players here like Leo Dubois. You trio, I'm sorry, you might value yourself very highly. I do not in this team. Obviously, there are a few of the older players, but they are very much backup options in the team. And generally speaking, I'll have maybe 3 or 4 key players when I set things up. A lot of the first team will be first team players. Usually the defence will be because I rotate that less often. With me being considerate, I guess, of the fact that, in the attacking department, for example, here we do rotate things a little bit more. I perhaps don't want as many kind of players considered first team players in this area of the pitch just because we will rotate it fairly regularly. But I think I'm pretty happy with this. Denea, I actually think we might want to give some first team football to this year because he does have some potential to fulfill, and I do feel like he is definitely a long-term option in comparison to Marcelo as a player we could bring in. So today's first game is going to be against Can. I will apologise. I'm not good at pronunciations. You guys know that. But with that in mind, the fact they're not the craziest team in the division. I mean, if we just look at the league table here, you can see they're down in 16th. They've not won a game yet. I'm going to rotate a few players, particularly in the midfield. With us going into this game, any players who are one booking away from a suspension would be banned for the game against Marseille. So we're going to put a little bit of faith in the players in our team to do the business for us today. So we're going to bring in players like Saint Maxime. I think we should just switch back to the ultimate squad view just to keep an eye on players' fitness. Actually, Saint Maxime isn't that fit. We could bring in Bertrand Traoré. It does leave me with the situation where both of our left-footed wingers are going to be in the team. Traoré, of course, has been out injured. He's still coming back a little bit. I'll tell you what, we'll start with Saint Maxime because they're around the same fitness levels. And we can always rotate things there if need be. You can see Martinez has come back from Venezuelan international duty a little tired too. So we won't start him in this game. Dembele is on a yellow card. Well, 1 yellow card away from a suspension. So we might even bring in Martinez at half time there. Really, I just want to protect players from possibly being suspended for that game against Marseille. And also with a consideration to the fact we've got Juventus in 4 days' time. If I can keep some legs fresh and get a result here, that would be ideal. I will just check. We have got Fekir on the bench. I'm just wondering if when I took players out, was there any super important players here who I want on the bench? I don't think there is. You can see here Gravenberch, who we've signed alongside Maxi. I'm calling we'll just call you Max. It's easier. Max here. Max Cacaret is probably how you say it, but Max is just easier. We've got him and Gravenberch available for the reserve team. There was actually one player in the under-19s who I wasn't that familiar with. It's this guy, Thomas. He looks very, very good. I actually think I might promote him to the reserve squad, but then make him available for the under-19s for 90 minutes. So he will play reserve football and under-19s football if he's fit for it. Just maximise game time for him. But yeah, he's a player with some potential. He's a little inconsistent. I did set up his training actually during the international break. Roman playmaker support, strength. I really just want to cover all bases with this guy. I think he's more of a centre mid than a striker. You can just see he's very, very well rounded. And he isn't really a standout, attacking player necessarily. So with that in mind, I feel like we can really hopefully hone his well-roundedness of his game. And, maybe have a long-term centre mid option here if he can live up to the potential that at least our staff think he might have. Anyway, first game of today's episode. Let's get into this because we have got a triple header today. I would ideally like to keep today's episode below the hour mark. Obviously, it's a bit of a juggling act at the moment with this series. Every episode has come in between about 40 minutes and an hour. I wanted it to be a little less. Most people haven't complained too much about it, but I do realise that with a series like this, where we're uploading it every day, expecting people to have an hour basically to watch an episode every day is expecting perhaps a little bit too much. That's difficult to catch up. And Well, actually, I'd be curious to know. Let me know in the comments. With this series, are you just watching it every day? Are you kind of binge watching it or binge listening to it whilst you play FM? If you're playing FM now, tab out with it. Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to hear your kind of viewing habits when it comes to this series and how you think things will work. It's kind of tricky because, let's not concede here. Well, that's the first goal conceded of the season. It was from a set piece. I haven't rotated the defence, so I can't blame them. Or use that as an excuse rather than blame the backup players. We just fell asleep from the set piece. It was a tidy finish by Ninga. Have to say that very carefully. But yeah, good little finish by him into the bottom corner, to be fair. But yes, in the comments, let me know. How do you view the series? Are you binge watching it? Are you watching it every day? Oh my gosh, Dembele hits the woodwork straight from the kickoff. Almost an immediate reply. I'd be curious to know. With the series, I'm going to take rest days. Obviously, so far we've been uploading every day. I feel like maybe 5 to 6 episodes a week is what I'll end up settling on. There might be weeks with slightly less because of the nature of the series being 100% live. I have a full-time job. YouTube is not my, my be-all or end-all. Kone, can you finish this? He can't. Nice stop by the keeper. We've had a few really good opportunities here to get back into the game, which is promising. But yeah, there might be days where we can't do videos, and additionally, I'm a bit hesitant to upload videos every day, every week, because it just gets to a stage where you fall behind on episodes, and it might feel quite daunting to even try and catch up or, watch the series daily. Anyway, you might have another chance here. We've been all over them in this game. They got that early set-piece goal. Since then, a very good response. A little bit concerned about Cech being on a yellow card in the ball-winning midfielder role. Additionally, we've got to keep an eye on Dembele. If he gets a booking here, he will be suspended for the game against Marseille. Tete whips it in. Dembele, St. Maxime, the shot blocked. That was actually a clear-cut chance. He is looking for his first goal at the club, St. Maxime, since that record move. I say record move. I don't think it actually set any records at all. But it was a significant transfer, the almost £10 million fee we shifted for him. Another set piece here for us. Cornet, back post, whips it in. No one under the ball for us there, but Aouar. Now to Denayer. Oh, of course, we got Denayer in. So, yes, we have changed the defence a little bit. I forgot about that. I forgot that we rotated him in. Denayer, though, is very, very competent, I feel like. He should be good. And, well, can he show us his competency here? Whips in Aouar. Have a go. Have a go, my son. He hits the woodwork as well. We've hit the post twice in this game. 12 shots in the first 27 minutes. Please don't turn into one of those days. I don't want to change the opponent instructions. I actually want to do a shout. I want to demand more from the players in what remains of this first half. 15 minutes. Players looking focused, which is good. Of course, we've got players like Fekir we can bring in. St. Maxime's fitness is down to 80% condition, so we might well make a change there at half-time. Let's make sure we don't go in 2 goals down. They bring the ball forward here. Ninga, what an effort that is. It goes just wide of the mark. But we do hold on, at least for now. It was an ambitious effort from range, but we've got to be wary of the threat that they pose. At half-time, 1-0. That is not the start to the half we wanted. I knew this series was going too well. 4 games in a row where we hadn't conceded. I knew it was going to all come tumbling down eventually. I just didn't expect it to be here. Let's take off Maxi. Oh, I've got too many Maxes, haven't I? I can't call St. Maximine Maxi because we already have a few. Right, I'm going to move Terrier out onto the left-hand side, and I am going to bring in Fekir. There is a risk that Fekir gets booked here, and he would then be out of the game against Marseille, but we've got to just focus on each game one at a time, I feel like. I'd rather try and get the win here if we can than not bringing in Fekir out of fear of him slipping up, getting a booking and then missing the Marseille game. I mean, right after half-time would be an ideal time to score if we could. Fekir, we're looking for him to be the difference maker now, really lead this team as the leader that he is. Number 8 is Aouar. I thought it was Fekir for a second. No, Fekir's higher up. I mean, Terrier scored again. I almost feel like I shouldn't celebrate it. I mean, we are on the 19.3 patch. It's the first one I've seen since the update, but it is a FM19 classic. I'm going to say it was our fantastic closing down which forced the error here, but Terrier, dispossessed, goes back to the keeper. On your noggin, son. Terrier nods it in. He wheels away in jubilation. He should not be celebrating that. Didn't know anything about it. I'm not going to complain though. We've had a lot of chances. It's not been the best chance. We've had that one right there. But it is going to break the duck that we were struggling with. And now Tete, back post to Terrier. Offside, I think. Is it offside? Are we going to VAR? Oh no, we're going to VAR. Was he offside? I think he was. We'll find out here. He was ahead of the play, so yes. VAR disallowing the goal. Can we make something happen here for Keir? Low cross. I mean, is that a weird own goal or what? Fekir's made the impact, I guess. 2 goals in the first 8 minutes of this second half. A weird low-driven cross, this one. That is not the routine that we usually execute. But I'm not going to complain. 2 fluky goals have gone in our favour. If they were to go against me in FM, I'd be livid. But they haven't. Maybe an opportunity here for us to get a few more legit goals, if we can call them that. Terrier, his second goal of the game. Awar with the assist as well. And, well, the turnaround is more than complete at this point. We came into this game, into the second half of this game, down a goal. Yes, there's been some luck. Yes, I'd be livid if these goals had gone against us. But they haven't. They've gone for us. Of course, I have to consider now that I can no longer, complain when these kind of goals that we've scored happen against us. I kind of find that weird. I understand people get frustrated about the immersion breakingness sometimes where weird goals happen in FM. At the same time, I'm kind of the attitude of, I understand that it's annoying when they screw you over, but equally, they do sometimes just work in your favour. Fekir, what are you doing, son? That was a very ambitious effort by him that whizzed over the crossbar. Let's take off Musa in this game because I don't want him suspended. And I think we'll also bring back in Bertrand Traoré. We'll bring him on for Cornet, who's not had the best game. Traoré obviously missed a little bit of football through injury, but he's slowly coming back into it now. It wasn't a super long-term injury, but this is only going to be his second appearance of the season. But it's going to be really good, hopefully, to have him back and fit and match fit for the Juventus game in 4 days' time. Additionally, hopefully Martinez here can, maybe get a goal to boost his confidence some more. He got one last game against Nice where we won 4-0. I mean, I'm very happy with this performance. We've got another set piece here. Fekir drives it in again. It gets cleared. Are they going to try and hit us on the counter? Awar, can you get there? Of course you can. Now with Mendy, the left-back, what strings can he pull from deep? Denayer to Wallace. A potential centre-back partnership for the future there. I mean, we have conceded, so that is a mark against Denayer, but he hasn't really made any individual errors as far as I've been able to see in this game. Can we score here? Fekir hits the woodwork again. We've hit it 3 times this game. It could have been so many more. Monaco and Toulouse has been a real ding-dong battle there, 3-2. I noticed PSG are hammering. I didn't actually see who they were playing. I think it was Nice they were playing. I might be wrong. No, it was Saint Etienne. Of course it was. They are our rivals. We dropped down to second. I assume that's down to the goal difference of PSG, but I'm not going to complain one little bit. It's a good comeback. Yes, we rode our luck, and I can't even deny it. But I'm pretty happy. And Terrier, man of the match again. He's our top goal scorer, I think, in all competitions. 5 goals in 5 league games for him. At 20 years old, he could develop into a very unexpectedly important part of our first team, I feel like, this year. So, right, we have got the game now against Juventus. What I want to do to start things here is, well, pick the team that I think we're going to start with. And that probably does involve playing Terrier, although his fitness isn't great. Obviously, we can bring in Toussaint and Ndombele back into the team. And additionally, Marcelo back in. For the first team players and the players who are on the bench who are tired, I'm going to rest them. Anyone below 90% condition, I'm just going to basically rest. Just for a couple of days. Just going into this game. That's going to help their conditioning focus. Their conditioning recovery and just help them focus on the next game. It's against Juventus. It's going to be away from home. I have got to think a little bit about how I want to approach this game. We have the counter-attacking system here. I did actually look at this again during the international break and decide to change the wing-backs to be on defend. It's going to be away from home against Juventus. I think depending on their system, we'll either play with 2 strikers, if I feel like their wing backs are going to be very attacking, or if I feel like it's going to be a battle of the midfield as I accidentally drag Toussaint. Oh my gosh, what role were you on, Toussaint? I don't remember. Was it? I think it was box-to-box midfielder. But depending on how things go here, and well, the shape that we're coming up against, we will change our system. I feel like we're most likely going to be playing this kind of pressing system, to be honest. I'd like to try and win the midfield battle, and also give ourselves a little bit of coverage in the wide areas. I feel like the narrow system that we've got is good if they don't play a wide system, but at least our scouts seem to think that Juve are going to play a 4-2-3-1. You might have seen, obviously, the game last time out against Nice, last episode, where they played with the wing-backs. Their system was fairly similar to our third-choice kind of counter-attacking system. But I do feel like, as we saw in that game, the wing-backs just got ripped to shreds, and, well, Juventus possess some talent out wide, and in their midfield, it would be fair to say, including Cristiano Ronaldo, who, I'll be honest, he's a little terrifying to look at. So yeah, with that in mind, I think we'll go with the 4-5-1. It's a formation I've not used in a very long time in Football Manager. Certainly this variant of it, I don't even think I've used it in the last few years of FM, but I've had success with it in the past. And I do really rate our midfield. I feel like it's the kind of system that we should try and use. It, playing pressing as well. It's not a super negative system, but at the same time, hopefully we can just choke out the Juventus midfield and, well, stifle any creativity they have there. That's certainly the approach that I want to take with it. I'm still scouting a few players. I was looking at Matias Fernandes, who was a player we looked at, in the very early episodes. I really like this guy as kind of a deeper defensive midfielder. He is kind of similar to Pape Cech, and he would take up a non-EU player spot, but I do like him. Of course, right now, financially, loads of money in the bank. We're over the wage budget, though, and we have no money left to spend. So I did have a few people tweet me kind of signing suggestions. The reality is I'm not even really thinking about the January transfer window right now. I'm pretty happy with our team that we have and the squad that we have, and I don't feel like we need to necessarily be signing anyone. Anyway, you can see here the players who we highlighted were the players we rested. Their conditions now all comfortably into the 90s, so I'm more than happy to play them. I do wonder if I should be playing Terrier in this game. He'd have to come in for Saint Maximin, who we did pay big money to bring in. I do like Maximin's good acceleration and just pace, though, especially if we are going to be trying to get in behind Juve on the break. I'll tell you what, I think this is the team I'm going to go with. Obviously, there's players like Gnabry who have kind of fallen out of first-team contention. This guy will be fantastic if we have a few injuries in the wide area. And whilst he debatably is better than players like Cornet and Terrier on the bench, I feel like I've got to favour our own players. Gnabry was very much brought in reaction to some of the injuries we had in the final third. And actually, there was a few players like Terrier who I genuinely didn't think would be good enough and step up. But he's performed admirably so far this year, and it would be really harsh to drop him from the team. So I do want to kind of put stock in our own players. Anyway, is this the system I want to play? Do I really want to pass it out from the back? I kind of do. Obviously, we set up this system right at the start of pre-season. So I'm just wondering if there's any minor tweaks I want to do here. I think we'll change the ball-winning midfielder. The ball-playing defenders to be just regular centre-backs. Wallace and Marcelo are definitely going to have their work cut out today. To be honest, though, I'm reasonably happy with a lot of this. I want to press teams hard with this system. I want to overload them in the midfield. I'm willing to give their defensive midfielders a little bit of space to operate in, but as soon as they, encounter a line of three in the centre-mid department, that's when I really want to see us working hard. Right, let's get into this. This tactic is very untested. It's going to be a bit of a venture into the unknown. We might end up binning it off very quickly. Ultimately, however, against this kind of team, I'm hoping it can do a job for us. Ndombele and Fekir, they'll help out the fullbacks a little bit when it comes to players like Douglas Costa and Mandzukic. I imagine Cristiano Ronaldo, might drop in deep from time to time. I'm hoping that we can, deal with him here. Dybala's probably going to have a free role in the attacking midfield department. So again, I feel like we should be pretty good at stifling their creativity. I'm willing to give players like Pjanic and Matuidi the ball. I know Pjanic can punish us from deep, but I'm not as scared as maybe I would be of those players compared to, say, Dybala and Ronaldo. Our team itself looks very, very solid as well. I do feel like Alexandro and Cancelo are going to get up the pitch fairly frequently, so I feel like it makes sense to try this system over the other counter-attacking system we have, which I don't know exactly when we're going to use it, and we'll probably adapt it more. I'm someone who very much, when I play Football Manager, I like to have this positive kind of mental attitude. I like to always try and not play on the counter-attack, try and play cautious. I know there is an art to the counter-attack. It's just not my kind of art. I'm not a fan of modern art either. Right, set piece. Pjanic whips it in. I mean, 2 minutes in, this is going to be a test for us because Ronaldo scores from a set piece. It's a near post corner. Just leaps like a salmon, does Ronaldo. He's so good in the air. A bit unfortunate because there's not a lot we could do in terms of our actual tactical system to stop that. I'm going to keep the faith in it. I'm not going to panic and react too soon just yet. Ronaldo, curiously, has actually swapped places with Mandzukic after kickoff. He's playing out on the left-hand side for them, which does mean that he's going to be attacking our right-hand side. I wonder if we should just drop Fekir's duty down to advanced playmaker on support rather than attack, just so Ronaldo can't drop him behind him if Fekir does get caught higher up the pitch. I was thinking about also moving Traore to be on attack, but actually I would quite like him to track back against Ronaldo. I mean, so far, possession's been pretty even. On the half an hour mark, it's been a largely competitive game. You know, we've not been blown out, and it would have been very easy for that to happen, having conceded in the second minute. We have a chance here. I mean, Bertrand Traore, I appreciate the bravery there at the Allianz Stadium to just run at the Juve defence and then have an effort from range. Unfortunately, Mendy's picked up an injury. Now, I brought in Lala to play on the bench. You might have noticed that's a bit of a change from what we have been doing. I've been training Kelly Lala to play left back, but he's not quite 100% confident with it yet. Don't get me wrong, he's competent in it, and he'll do a job there, and he's certainly well suited to the role. But I'm a little bit scared now that Douglas Costa can really get into this game. You know, Lala's going to be coming in and a little bit cold. He's not quite of the calibre of some of our other players, so we're going to have to be wary of that. Additionally, Tete at right back has picked up a booking, and he's going to have to go head-to-head with Ronaldo. I actually think I might swap our wing-backs around. So Lala plays on the right, Tete plays on the left. Just, we can't really afford to have any more bookings here against Ronaldo on that wing. And I definitely don't want to go a man down. You also saw there, Costa punishing Lala a little bit. It's a bit of a risk here because it's a case of, do I want to put my weaker fullback on the same side of the pitch as Ronaldo, or do I want to keep him on the, you know, the side with Douglas Costa, but then have a player on a booking trying to shut out Ronaldo? Tete's got sent off before. I mean, I feel vindicated in my decision to change it. Unfortunately, the change hasn't come into effect soon enough. Tete has got a second yellow card from Martin Atkinson. That is not good. In terms of what I do now to react, I mean, this is interesting, isn't it? I mean, Denea is going to have to probably play left wing back, which again, he can kind of play. We've got lots of players who can kind of play left back. I just wasn't expecting to potentially have considered using 3 different left backs in a single match, but it's happened. Maybe now we do have to play cautiously and look for long balls on the counter-attack and not play it out of the back. Let's hit early crosses. In terms of in transition, counter, I don't want us to counter press. We're not going to go short with it now. You know, I want to play this high line. I want to play this pressing game. We can't really do that anymore. I do want us to press a little bit, not as much as we were doing, and probably not deploy an offside trap now. I mean, I imagine Juventus are going to come on the front foot here and really try and hurt us. I'd kind of like us to step off them a little bit. This could end pretty badly. We're going to look for big balls over the top as well. We've got pace, which is good. So the changes could be Denea coming in for Saint Maximin, and then we're going to move Traore into a striker role that he can do. How do I want to set him up with Dembele? I think we'll play him on deep line forward on attack. In fact, no. I'm going to play him as a poacher. Yeah, I am. I'm going to play him on poacher so he stays up. I'm also going to change Fekir to be a deep line deep line playmaker. I kind of want him to sit a little deeper now, not kind of carry the ball forward for us. He's going to be perhaps the player we look to create the counter-attacks, get those balls over the top. Douglas Costa, oh my gosh, how has he not scored? That was almost the double whammy for Juventus. A sending off from a foul outside the box, and then if they'd scored the free kick straight after, it would have been a little bit harsh. Dybala, edge of the box, goes back to Costa. Let's not concede here, it's offside. We're let off the hook. I mean, at this point, it is a little bit of damage limitation. I don't really like it. I said, I'd much rather play on the front foot and try and play positive football. We're a man down. We've got to try and turn things around here if we can, but we're down to 10. Juventus already a goal to the good for a set piece. We can't do a great deal about that. And if we got lucky in the last game, I feel like Football Manager as a game has played me a little bit today in Tete getting sent off after I've said that I want him to swap and go left wing back to stop having to deal with Ronaldo whilst on a booking. The good news is we've survived about half an hour since the sending off without conceding. The bad news is they're on the attack and Matuidi has it at the edge of the box. Now with Pjanic, who I said I wasn't that scared of him. Ronaldo, long range effort. Blocked away. You can see we are keeping two men up. They are not really leaving anyone behind here, are they? They are not showing a great deal of respect to us, which maybe can work in our favour. We're going to look for that big ball over the top. We've got the pace to, hit them on the break. Chiellini, I don't feel like he's the fastest centre-back in the world. Da Costa, what a run that is by Douglas Costa, by the way. I don't know why I said Da Costa. What year is this? I've been playing too much of the retro databases, apparently. 20 minutes left for us to hold on. I mean, 1-0 is pretty respectable at this moment in time. Pjanic, I mean, he scores a bit of a worldie. Now, whether or not with an extra man on the pitch we would have been able to close him down any more efficiently kind of remains to be seen. Unfortunately for us, it's a goal that rifles in from a good, 25 yards out. Unfortunately, there's not a great deal I can do here to change things. I could try and chase this game, I could play on the attack. We're going to get torn to shreds if we try and do that. It's kind of, as I said earlier, it's damage limitation. We've got one sub left. I'm going to take off Dembele, I think, and just bring in Martinez. Am I going to do that? No, I'm not. And Ndombele's not had a good game. Let's bring in Aouar for him. Give Aouar a bit of game time. It's a Champions League match. It's only going to help his development. It's not an easy game for him to come into. But at the same time, Ndombele has not had a good game. He's a little bit tired, bless him. I mean, to be fair, I'm pretty proud of the performance here. It's going to finish 2-0 to Juventus. They are a better team than us. There's no denying that. We were down to 10 men for a good hour of this match. I did notice in the top left there, I think Dortmund have lost to Club Bruges. And I do consider, maybe I'm underestimating Bruges or maybe I'm overestimating Dortmund. You would have backed Dortmund, I feel like, to beat the number 4 seeds in this group, and they haven't. It's a last-minute goal by Vanenken for them. Let's take a look at it. How did Bruges do here? So this result kind of helps us in a way because I feel like Dortmund are our big rivals. Let's have a look. So the first goal of the game, a set piece by Michele. Then Pulisic at the edge of the box for Dortmund. I mean, they've got some good names, haven't they? Royce with the finish. But then in this moment here, the 93rd minute... I mean, is this another cross into the box? It looks like they don't deal with crosses and balls around the edge of the box very well. I don't know, keeper probably could have done better, but that is a big result for us. That helps us out massively. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Ferland Mendy, broken foot. I mean, we're going to have to send him to the specialist. So, Mendy's broken his foot. Antonio Marin has broken his ankle. Depay tore his hamstring. We've had a few horrible, unfortunate injuries here. In terms of what we do now, I feel like Marcel, who I was talking about the fact, maybe we won't play him so much this year. He is coming back from an injury of his own, a calf strain that he sustained and was out for 2 months with. We're going to be turning to him, and he is going to be the left back that we hope can do the business. We've now got Marseille in not too long. In terms of how we're going to go into that game, we're at home for it, so we're going to play the positive system. We're going to see what we can do with it. In terms of the team itself, based off that last match, is there anything I want to change? I might play Terrier ahead of St. Maximin just because, well, Terrier's been getting all the goals for us. We have got a little bit of a fitness problem here. I'm also a little bit concerned about Marcel's lack of match fitness, but I think that's something we're just going to have to chance a little bit, unfortunately. Everyone who was involved in that Champions League game, though, we're going to rest for 2 days. It's only 3 days until this game against Marseille. Resting and rotating is going to be important as this kind of, I guess, season goes on. It's a bit annoying that Tete's got sent off. Fortunately, I guess it wasn't a straight red if we want to look at silver linings. It does mean that for the next game of the Champions League, which is going to be against Club Brugge actually, we're not going to be without either of our first choice fullbacks. So we're going to be without Tete. And obviously now Mendy's out for a long time. So that does make us training, hopefully Lala to pick up left back, more and more important. You can see at the moment, I mean, he's okay there. I think Denea we are also training to play left back. Lala is right-footed only. Yeah, you can see here we are training to play left back. And actually, he's gone up to accomplished. I felt like he wasn't on that previously. That may have just been a recent revelation. So Denea can possibly slot in at left back for us. I do like Lala, but because he's right-footed only, it's not ideal. He's a little bit older than St. Maximin as well. We can perhaps try and develop his weaker foot. I'm going to try and make it happen. Our reserve manager, not so keen on the idea, but I'm going to ignore his professional advice. And we're going to go for it. Just looking at our training report here, Ferry's not been doing too great. Neither has Narbry. I'm going to warn you. I have been praising and warning players over the international break. I do find that this can actually help quite a lot. I have already praised Ndombele, Kakaret and Awar recently. They have improved a lot already. Obviously, I'm hoping that lots of players are going to improve for us through training, because we do have just a very, very good young team, and I expect to see lots of improvement over the course of this year. You can see just across the board, we want to give these players first-team football. We want to see them develop. There's players like Dembele here who has so much potential that I really want him to fulfill. And I'm going to be putting a lot of stock in players like Dembele to play regularly for us, alongside obviously Martinez as kind of our go-to 2 striking options. Marseille haven't had the best start to the season. They're currently in 10th. I'm not sure where they're predicted to finish. Also, Tonali, I had a quick scout of him because I know lots of people are like, Jack, you should get Tonali. I did sign him on my Leverkusen save, so I don't really want to sign him again for that reason, but it's worth getting a scout report on him. I'm just curious to have a look at Marseille and their team. So their media prediction is 4th, ours is 3rd. So they are a big rival to us. Their key player is Payet, or Payet. I'm not actually sure which of those is correct, if you're going with French pronunciation. We just compare him to Fekir. Fekir's better. Not quite as good in the air, but he is better. He's also younger and better looking, so we've got that going for us. They've also got Luis Gustavo, who is looking mighty fine with his moustache. They, in their last game, played a 4-1-4-1, which is interesting, with Mitroglou as the lone forward. If they do play that system, I might switch wing-backs to play on attack instead of support if they go with the lone striker system, just to push them on a little bit more. Or possibly move the inside forwards to play on attack, although that might create a bit of a disconnect between the wing-backs and the inside forwards. So actually, I'd rather have the wing-backs play on attack and get further forward and kind of run into space, rather than have our inside forwards start higher up the pitch and, mean that the wing-backs don't have as easier an out ball to get the ball up the pitch. if that makes sense. But yeah, Marseille underperforming so far. Have they had a tough start to the season? They've lost their last 3 games. They lost against Sevilla in their Europa League game. They lost against Guingamp. That's definitely not how you say it, but it sounds fun to say, so that's how I'm going to go with it. They've only won 1 game all year, so yeah, Marseille not doing so great. You can see here, actually, in terms of player stats, Terrier, joint top goal scorer with Neymar and Cavani, and Ndombele on 3 assists as well, right up there. Worth noting, Rainy Adelaide, a player who I was kind of looking at from a distance. He's getting a lot of assists at the moment for Angers, out in the wide areas. Right, game against Marseille. In terms of the team, is this what I want to play? That's the question. I'm actually going to take off Dembele and start Martinez today. You can see here, in terms of average ratings, lots to be positive about. Obviously, goalkeeper average ratings you kind of just ignore because they're never good. But just across the rest of the team, lots to be positive about. Ndombele's average ratings are really low considering how many assists he's got. I feel like centre mids, certainly pre-patch, obviously I've only recently switched to the patch, but pre-patch, centre mids in the deeper areas really struggled to get good average ratings. Looking at it, they are playing a more attacking system here to the system they played against Sevilla. So they're showing us a little bit less respect, but as a result, I'm not going to change anything in terms of the duties on our players. We're just going to go with kind of our standard system, which has served us reasonably well. I'm hoping we can put in a similar performance to the performance we put in against Nice. Although I feel like we matched up system-wise a lot better against them. Marseille, despite their poor form, 3 losses in a row, they're not going to be easy opposition. And we also need to pass better than Fekir did just there, because that was absolutely awful. Payet, I don't know if he's picked up a knock. He hasn't. He's just starting on really low condition. Of course, they've played in the Europa League on a Thursday. We've played a few days before, so a bit more recovery time for us. You can see the condition for our players is definitely better than their players, so we might have the edge in this game the longer the match goes on, and particularly if we dominate the possession as we have done in the opening phases, we're going to have them chasing the play a lot and getting tired out. Terrier whips it in. Traore's there. Is that a penalty? It is. I mean, that looks very, very soft if it's going to be given by VAR. In fact, it has been given by VAR. Fekir, I think he's scored both his penalties so far this year. He's overdue a miss. Don't make it one today, please, Nabil. He steps up, he hits it, never in doubt. Okay, it might have been a little bit, but it's his 5th goal of the season. He equals Terrier to become our joint top goal scorer. And, well, we get a good goal there for Fekir, smashing it. Not right into the bottom corner, but he's gone for his trademark powerful penalty. And the keeper unable to stop it. And after half an hour, I feel like we have been the better team in this game. And it now shows on the scoreline, which is good. I'm hoping they're not going to punish Marçal too much at left back as we chase Amavi. Is that? I assume that's Jordan Amavi of Newcastle Hall of Fame? Well, no, it was Aston Villa, right? Did he play for Villa? Random trivia if he did. I feel like he played for Aston Villa their last season in the Premier League. Maybe he went to Newcastle after that. Most French players who played in the Premier League have gone to Newcastle at least for 6 months in their time. It certainly feels that way. But yes. Can we deal with this here? Tete gets up to Toussaint, who's on a booking. That's a little concerning because he is in a role, you know, as that ball-winning midfielder where he is going to make tackles. It's kind of just part of his game, unfortunately. Traore, what a run this has been. What a run this has been. What a goal that is by Bertrand Traore. It's his 2nd of the year. He's been out through injury. We didn't see a great deal of him against Juventus, although I don't feel we saw a great deal of any of our attacking players. But he picks up the ball here. Ndombele gets another assist for his collection. Traore should just get the assist himself for that run. He just uses his pace, moves into the channel between the fullback and the centre-back, and he runs, and he runs, and he runs, and then you expect him to smash it over, and he actually hits the target, and it finds the back of the net, and well, he's on the ball again. Switching the play to Marçal. What can you do, Marçal? Show us what you're made of. 2 goals up to Terrier. Hits the woodwork. Traore's there again. Terrier awarded the assist for his effort that cannoned off the post. I mean, Marseille, you are in trouble, my friends. Against our big rivals who are predicted to finish 4th, this is a great way to bounce back from that Juventus game. Slightly different calibre of opposition, I guess you could argue, for that Juve game. Away from home, it was never going to be easy, but we've returned to the Lion's Den here, our own ground. And similarly to how we dismantled Nice, in this first half. It's been a very clinical job that we've done on Marseille here. Could the keeper have stopped it going across his own 6-yard box? Very much likely he could have in real life. This is Football Manager. Goalkeepers get glued to the spot. We live with it, and well, we're not going to complain when it works in our favours. Mitroglou on a booking for them has got to be concerning. Amavi, though, does get in behind here. Now with Loftus-Cheek, who hits it. That was not far away. That was not far away at all, that long-range effort. You can see we've been so clinical. 3 chances have come our way. 3 shots on target have come our way. They've all gone in. We have had, to be fair, 2 clear-cut chances and 2 half chances. They've had 0 in either of those categories. We are well worth our lead at half-time. And at 3 goals up, I'm not too concerned about complacency. So I'm just going to go with a bit of praise for our players. Both centre mids on bookings is a tiny bit concerning. I'm actually going to go for the double change here. We're going to bring in Pape Cech to play the ball-winning midfielder role, which is definitely a role he can do for us. He's very, very good, this guy. And he's only 21. He needs game time. Similar for Aouar as well. I feel like these 2 players are not really a step down from the 2 starting centre mids for us. Slightly different players, I guess, in terms of what they offer. Not quite perhaps as defensively minded in the case of Aouar. But I don't really want to go a man down, especially after the last game against Juventus. And at 3 goals up, I'm not feeling too stretched defensively to the point where I'm necessarily concerned about removing Toussaint, who is a bit of a unique player in our team as that ball winner. Traore, what a run. Gives it to Martinez, who hits it. I mean, for £6 million, you probably expect him to hit the target there in that one-on-one. Mandanda let off the hook. It was a half chance. And unfortunately, we couldn't convert it. And it's a bit of a blemish on our very clinical finishing record that we have so far in this game. But there is going to be another chance here. Working the ball around the defence really nicely. Aouar now to Traore, who, he starts in these deep areas and he just makes these surging runs forward. Martinez touches it once, gets out of his feet. That is the finish we were looking for last time. His 2nd goal of the year. And I'll be honest, I'm very, very happy with this episode if we can get this result here. Yes, the Juventus result's not ideal, but in the league we are looking very, very strong. And what's great is everyone seems to be performing. Everyone's kind of pulling their weight. I'm sure you've all had it. You have a few players who, at the start of the season in your FM save, you expect massive things of them. You think they're going to be the big game changers and they don't really perform and you end up just taking them out of the team and they look great on their profile. Their attributes look fantastic, but they just never seem to turn up. We've not really got anyone who I've been disappointed by so far. I kind of went in anticipating, maybe Fekir won't be as good as I think he can be. Maybe players like Aouar, when we give them chances, won't do a lot. Maybe Ndombele, he's not going to do a great deal from centre mid. No, they've all stepped up. And even players who I didn't have expectations of, like Terrier, have really exceeded what I was expecting of them. And that is just really pleasing. I mean, Traore has been the man of the match this game. He's doing another run. Threads it through to Martinez. Mandanda gets to it this time. But Traore has just been tearing them to shreds out on this right-hand side. Fekir's got a tight hamstring, bless him. Right, protect him. You know what? We'll bring in Cornet for Fekir, and then we'll move Terrier to play down the middle. Just give Cornet a little bit of game time. Saint-Maximin has played a fair bit as of late this year. Obviously, he's missed the last 2 games. He didn't play the last game, I don't think, against Juventus. I'm trying to remember now. No, he didn't. So he gets a chance here. Martinez could be through. Can he finish it? It wasn't easy there. It was a good opportunity. I mean, if you were to look at the stats here, just in terms of shots and possession, you would say that we've not been significantly better, but the quality of our chances, 3 clear-cut chances, 4 half chances. The reality is, Marseille here are a little fortunate to be losing 4-0, as far as I'm concerned. We've looked very good defensively again here. I mean, 4 clean sheets in the first 5 clean sheets in the first 6 league games. Disappointing to concede that set piece, but we've not conceded from open play in the league yet. And of course, even against Juve, they scored from that corner. Obviously, there was the Pjanic crazy long shot, but we look very astute defensively in this system right now. Our defenders are performing very well, and Marcel, I mean, I was wondering how he was going to get on here. He's kind of, listed in the other players here, coming in. 29 years old, he's been out for an injury for a little while. How was he going to do at left back? 8.3. Love that. Wallace, new signing, 8.7. Bertrand Traore, though, man of the match, a 9.5 for him. My friend, what an incredible performance you have put in there against our big rivals. I mean, I feel like the Lyon fans are going to be on board with our tactics and our approach. You can see here, Nice, they've lost one game all year. It was against us 4-0. And we look pretty good now in the league table to hopefully, be right up there throughout the year. Of course, can't get too carried away. We've played 6 league games of 32. But we have played very, very well. Traore, you have been superb, my friend, in that game. 2 goals to his name. There's probably a few players here who in their last kind of 5 games, we need to praise their recent form. I think Terrier is definitely one of those. Want to get players on our side. We want to build up, positive relationships with our players, particularly the important players in the team and the players who I'm hoping, will sign long-term contracts. So players like Fekir, he's been very, very good lately. 7 point. What was his average rating in the last 5 games? It was 7.66. That cannot be understated. Wallace, 7.58 for him as well. I do really recommend as well, when players are performing well, do praise them. I know sometimes people feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be cursing my players. I'm putting a hex on them by praising them. But you are also, in doing this, building up a relationship with that player. But it's just a good way, when it comes to renewing contracts, to ensure that players are on your side. The reason I hesitated there is because Marcelo apparently thinks that his recent form of a 7.46 is not great in terms of average ratings. I mean, I beg to differ, my friend, but if you can think you can do better, I look forward to it. I'm also going to praise Marcel for that last game, because he was very, very good defensively, and I didn't really know what to expect of him. And he showed up, and he's probably heard the fact that I've said that we might move him on because he's a non-EU player, and he's then put in a fantastic performance to start things off here. You can see the matches continue thick and fast. We've got Dijon probably, and also Nantes to play, and Club Brugge, and then following on from that, PSG, Nîmes, and Dortmund. So some pretty big games to come. That Club Brugge one, definitely the pick of the bunch in terms of the immediate future, but looking further ahead. I mean, right now, away from home against PSG, that feels like a big game for us and a bit of a challenge. If we just look at the full standings here, we have conceded 1 goal in 6 games. PSG have conceded 2 goals in 6 games and scored 1 less. So we are currently, statistically, the best team in France. Long may that continue. And well, hopefully it can continue next time. Guys, hopefully you've enjoyed today's episode. If you have, do leave a like on it. As I said, let me know your viewing habits with this series. How have you been watching it? Are you someone who has been watching it religiously daily? Are you catching up on a few episodes every so often? I would be very interested to know. And well, of course, hopefully I catch you next time. And well, that's going to be all from me. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys soon. It is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.